Hi, Nathan here, founder of Embodied Excellence, certified high performance coach, and ambassador for your success. I want to thank you for joining me today, friends. Today, I want to talk to you about a quote that I recently came across. It's an old quote, many of you probably know it. It's from Stephen Covey, and he says, "Seek first to understand, then be understood." And so that really got me thinking about life and how we interact with other people on a daily basis. And I think I want to add a piece to that first is before we even seek to understand somebody else, I think it's important to understand ourselves. So not even trying to get them to understand us, but understand ourselves. Like, do we actually believe the things that we think we believe? So often I feel like there were sort of leftover things that our parents might have taught us or we learned in school, and we just kind of accepted them and have gone through our life believing that we believe them without actually stopping to take inventory to find out, well, do I actually still believe this? Is this still relevant and true for me? And if so, why is it relevant or true for me? I think that's a great starting place, is to really make sure you understand why you believe the things you believe, why you value the things that you value. And then coming back to that quote, seek first to understand, then be understood, which is just amazing. So how many times in your life have you rushed into a situation, a conflict, and you were just trying to blah, 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 blah. You were just trying to get your point across and make sure that person understood what you thought was the right answer, what you thought was right, that they were wrong, and just went into a tangent and thought that, okay, my opinion is the most valid here. Have you ever done that? I know I've done it. I think we've all done that before. And so I have this process that's really just called the 4 A's. And this is just a guide for how to approach situations like this, where there may be a conflict or there may be a disagreement or a difference of opinion. So the first A is to ask. So make sure you're asking the other person or the other people in any sort of conflict situation questions. Ask them various questions that are going to illuminate for you what their belief is. What is their point of view? Why do they believe what they believe? Because here's the thing, we never know what's going on in someone else's life, right? We might see, in this day and age, we might see tons of their posts on Facebook. They may be sharing all kinds of videos that are going to lead you to make assumptions about something they may believe or about how great their life might be going. But in reality, we don't actually know what's going on in someone else's life unless we ask. We don't necessarily know what they believe unless we ask. Just because someone shares a video about a topic, it doesn't necessarily mean that they believe everything about that topic that might have been shared in that video. Maybe they disagree with part of it and that's why they shared it. You never know. So important to ask the right questions to really truly understand, okay, where is this person coming from? What's going on in their life? Why are they acting the way they're acting, or why do they believe the things that they believe? Okay, step number 2, that A number 2, is appreciate. So if you're going into that inquiry, appreciate the person having the vulnerability to share with you some of the things that they might be sharing, because it may not be easy for them. They may be sharing really difficult truths or situations, life events that have come up for them that are really making it hard to share. And so appreciating, having gratitude for that person, for being willing to go to that space with you, to really try to help you understand where it is that they're coming from. So anytime we can show appreciation, I think is a beautiful thing in helping to establish deeper communication. And then also on communication brings us to that third A, which is acknowledgement. So how often have you ever gone into a situation where you just wanted to make sure that the other person understood that you were right and your viewpoint was the right one, and you didn't necessarily acknowledge some of the things that the other person brought up? Maybe as they were sharing why they believe a certain thing, maybe part of that was because they had a belief about you based on some of your actions. And so it's really important to acknowledge your role, your part of any of your actions, behaviors, statements that you might have said or done that might cause someone to believe some of the things that they were believing. And if we don't acknowledge our role, then it's really hard to get the other person to listen. They're going to be arms crossed like this. And because if we don't acknowledge our part in something, all the other person hears is that it's a one-way street and that nothing's your fault and that you're not willing to own up to your side of things. And if you can't own up to your side of things, then by default, it's kind of the other person's fault, isn't it? And so that's going to completely shut down any communication, any good communication. So important to acknowledge your part in whatever the disagreement, the conflict may be. And then we come to that fourth A, which is acceptance. So take the time to inquire. You've asked, they've told you where they're coming from. And again, you might not agree with it, but they've taken the time to say, okay, well, this is why I believe what I believe. And then you've taken the time to appreciate them for sharing. You've acknowledged your part in that situation, your role in that situation. And then you've explained your side of things, why you believe what you believe, what your understanding is. And then at that point, once you both have a clear understanding of where each other are at, then at that point, there's nothing left but to accept the situation. It's not our job, it's not our role to change people's minds, to make people believe something that's not in them to believe in that moment. I know we all think that we're always right all the time. Maybe I'm the only one who does that. But it's important for us to acknowledge that we might have to agree to disagree, and that different viewpoints can be valid based on different life experience. So if you can come to some sort of agreement, that's awesome, wonderful, great. But if you can't, then you just have to accept where you're at. Be grateful for that journey, for that communication, how you've shared with one another. And then you can move forward from that place of understanding and have a stronger relationship because of it. And so this is so important, just to take a step back in these situations of conflict, just to ask yourself, check in with those 4 A's, to ask, appreciate, acknowledge, and accept. Because if you can learn to do this, if you can learn to take that step back, you're going to open up channels of communication with so many more people in such a different way. People are going to start to appreciate you in return for your willingness to be so open and communicative, and to go that extra mile to really understand where they're coming from, to put yourself in their shoes. And the more you can do that, the more you're going to deepen relationship. And the more that you'll be able to accomplish with other people, the more other people are going to want to be around you, the more joy we can all bring to our situations in life. And so that's what I wanted to share with you this week. I hope this video has served you in some way. If so, go ahead, hit that share button or hit that like button, leave some comments down below. I'd love to hear any of your experiences with any of these things, any situations where you might have been guilty of any of those things, and let people know, hey, we all do it. We all get caught up in the rushing in and wanting to explain our side and make sure that we're right. So just a gentle reminder to take that step back, take those 4 steps, ask, appreciate, acknowledge, and accept. All right, thank you all for watching this week. I look forward to seeing you next week. And until I see you then, go out there every single day and be an extraordinary ambassador for humanity.